Good morning, traders. Excited to have you today. Took my first trade at CMEG and ended up being green on it today. I've been setting up and playing with my Holy Grail hotkeys, and today I put everything to the test. Now, with a smaller account, I'm not like a lot of the YouTubers out there where I'm using all my leverage and maximizing that to make a ton of profit. I'm always predefining risk before I ever enter the trade. Right now, how I have my trading is I get in with a $2,000 position. The hotkeys figure out how many shares that is, and then the hotkey also triggers a 2% risk. So on a $2,000 position, 2% of that is 40 bucks. So I'm risking like 40 bucks a trade. It's not a lot, but again, I am extremely disciplined, and funding this account, I wanted to be extremely disciplined. And that's why I have these guardrails set up on the account, and especially with the hotkeys, because I want to make this as algorithmic as possible to make it easier for me. I like to just see the high quality plays and setups and then just click a button and let the trade work itself out. They're not all going to work, but we have the high probability setup trades, the pocket pair of ace setup, where when the market shows us this hand, pocket pair aces, I'm going to click the button because more times than not, we're going to make money, but I'm not going to allow that conviction to let me blow up the account, because we have to understand not every trade is going to work out, and that's okay. Never, ever, ever let your ego get in the way. And the ego says you're wrong, you're right. That's not how it works, because technically you're right every single time if you follow your rules, follow your trading plan. Let's get into the video. All right, traders, now that we're into the computer, I'll show you the P&L real quick here. Everyday trading. Had a lot of shares traded. I kind of overtraded today. Ended up making roughly 90 bucks. Thankfully, with CMEG, when you first open up an account, as of right now, you get $0 commission trades for a month. So that's going to be helpful, especially with how much I traded. I'm going to show you guys. This is my RVSN chart. My best entry was right here and took half off. Added a little bit and took the rest. Now again, remember, my stops are very rigid. That's how the hotkey works. I get into these high probability setups, my stop is rigid, my profit expectations very flexible, right? Because I want to allow them to work, and that's why I have the trail set. When RVSN had popped up on the scans, the first thing I had noticed really with it was it's somewhat of a recent IPO. So if we pull up the 3-year chart, there's not a lot of data to work with. I do notice that there's a lot of range here. With every ticker, we want to look left of the chart, look at the past chart history to get an idea of the personality of this ticker. For one, we notice 250 is kind of major resistance. A lot of these upper shadows are hitting that. Upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow. And today, let's see what we're having trouble getting over today. 250. So that's major resistance on the chart. That's the first thing I noticed when I looked at this. Second, what I noticed is we have a lot of above average volume. That's what these numbers down here mean. Based off of the 30-day average and 90-day average, we are up a lot. And if I bring over my daily chart, what we can see is the relative volume standard deviation is way above that above average level of 2 million shares. We're approaching 6 million on the day. When we've rotated our float nearly 3x, it means there's going to be some good range, and what that range equals is opportunity. What's opportunity equal? Money. And that's what I look for. By no means was this some kind of excellent trade, but you know, it was a disciplined trade. I kind of wanted to go over it. It was my first trade here at CMEG. I just drew my trend lines out. Even right now, it's cracking this level currently. But we noticed it was bouncing off of this trend line. It was being very respectful of that. One thing I noticed right away here is having trouble with the VWAP. It did test it several times at this level, but you see all those upper shadows? Indicates there's a lot of sellers on the ask right there. And I noticed the ask getting soaked up. And then it became kind of heavy. And then we saw this large red candlestick back down to the trend line. And this is about where I got in. Again, we didn't get like an amazing breakout. This would have been honestly a home run trade had we gotten a clean breakout and move up. But the problem with it was after hours and pre-market. Trading is all like 100% about psychology. And you got to understand the stock's going to be heavy when you have a lot of bags in this from after hours and pre-market that are honestly in this thing from like what? 230 up to 328. So that's inevitably going to create that heaviness. It's going to be very difficult for this to really break past those levels after hours and pre-market, and not to mention the daily chart levels being the 250 resistance on that as well. One thing I really wanted to go over that was key on this trade was volume. I like the setup. This is what I was seeing in the moment was on the 5-minute time frame, I was seeing this ascending triangle pattern that if broken out, we could see a massive move on it. The problem was, again, the heavy resistance after our pre-market. We had the trend. We had the upper resistance, that 225 area. That was right around the open as well, the open being 222. So 220, that 20-cent area, and it was the VWAP. It was just a heavy area of resistance. I got in off this bottom trend line, and again, volume was very weak where I got in at. The problem with this trade, looking back, is I did predict a little bit, and I hate predicting. That's why more times than not I'm a short seller, because we already have the volume. We don't have to predict volume coming in. We have the volume there. We see it. Stocks experiencing euphoria. I can short into it at resistance levels. But on the long side, typically longs take longer. Shorts take shorter. The elevator down kind of plays on the short side. That's why I like them. But with this play, I got in at the bottom trend, but we needed volume. That was the problem with this. And volume had faded. Sorry, I don't think you guys can see what I'm looking at here. Volume had faded off. And, you're kind of predicting this volume coming into it. And once I saw that volume coming out, I was like, okay, I can scale out along the way. If it pops and breaks out and continues higher, we get that momentum. Then I'm just padding the wallet. And that was the idea here. We didn't get that massive breakout over VWAP. So ultimately, made the $90 on it. Could have been a lot bigger of a play, but that's why it's important to take profit along the way. So you always want to take some profit along the way. I like to trail just in case. You never know. Sometimes this thing could have broken VWAP, had continuation on the momentum. The volume is something that's difficult to predict on the long side. You see a high quality setup, you take the trade like I did. I liked it at these levels because, again, my risk was tight. That's why sometimes I don't mind the prediction trades, because I can get in so close to my risk that there's hardly any risk to it, and there's a lot more upside. And then, I did step up to the plate and add into it around VWAP, thinking we were going to get a nice pop on it. Ultimately, it didn't. Still green on the trade. Not bag holding it, just took the high quality setup and moving on to the next one. It was kind of a choppy of a day, but ultimately I am happy with this Monday, first day with my CMEG account. Hope you guys learned something. Let me know what you're excited about as far as this channel goes. We could do some live streaming potentially sometime soon. I'm here to help. I want to do whatever is beneficial to you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, how you did with your trading today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps out that algo. Speaking of algos, make your trading algorithmic, make YouTube algorithmic. That's what we got to do. All right, traders, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.